At the bedrock of metaphysical inquiry sits a single, unavoidable question. Why is there something rather than nothing? To understand how the physical universe came to exist, we have to look at the exact moment that blank slate ruptures into reality. We can test this problem using the Cosmological argument. This is a formal logical syllogism consisting of two precise premises. Premise 1, whatever begins to exist has a cause. Premise 2, the universe began to exist. If those two hold true, it forces a strict conclusion. The universe has a cause for its existence. The underlying framework here is ancient. Philosophers have deployed variations of the cosmological argument for centuries, tracing as far back as Plato's laws, before being refined by medieval Islamic scholars. What makes this specific iteration, the Kalam version, unique is its strict parameters. It turns entirely on the assertion that the universe is not eternal, but had a definitive temporal beginning. The logic at play is modus ponens. That means the structure itself is sound. If we can verify that premise 1 and premise 2 hold up to strict scrutiny, the conclusion becomes mathematically inescapable. Evaluating the existence of a first cause, then, does not demand a leap of religious faith. It requires a rigorous scientific and philosophical audit of these two boundary conditions. Let's test premise 1. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. This rests on the principle of sufficient reason, which states that all contingent truths, things that exist but didn't have to exist, require a causal explanation. The primary skeptical counterargument comes from philosopher David Hume. Hume argued that we can easily imagine an object appearing ex nihilo, out of nothing, without any cause at all. And if we can imagine it, universal causality might not be a strict requirement for existence. But philosopher Alexander Pruss counters this by pointing out that imagining an object's sudden appearance is not the same as imagining an uncaused appearance. If a full-grown tiger suddenly materialized in an empty room, assuming it popped into reality purely without a cause isn't a logical deduction, it's a failure of imagination to identify the actual forces at play. We never apply Hume's skepticism. If you find a flat tire or missing money from your wallet, you never assume it was uncaused. Causal relationships form the entire basis for how we interpret non-abstract data. The fields of physics, biology, and chemistry rely absolutely on the premise that observable states have discoverable causes. Rejecting the principle of sufficient reason merely to avoid a cosmic first cause is a heavy trade-off. It requires abandoning the core epistemological mechanics that underpin all of our scientific knowledge and daily rationality. This brings us to premise 2. The universe began to exist. Testing this requires us to ask whether an infinite chain of past events is mathematically coherent, starting with the logic of set theory. Philosopher William Lane Craig tests the concept of an infinite past using a library paradox. Imagine an infinitely long shelf of books, alternating perfectly between red and blue. In this infinite sequence, the total number of books is infinite. But if you count only the blue books, that number is also infinite. You end up with a mathematical contradiction where half the total number of books is perfectly equal to the total number of books in the entire series. This thought experiment violates Euclid's maxim, that is, the foundational mathematical axiom stating a complete set must always have a greater number of elements than any of its internal subparts. Philosopher West Moriston critiques this approach. He points out that Euclid's maxim is designed to restrict finite sets. In reality, any finite chunk of physical space can be theoretically subdivided into smaller regions infinitely. Craig's rebuttal is that dividing a finite space only proves a potential infinite. Being able to hypothetically cut a span of space in half forever is entirely distinct from claiming that an actual sequence of completed historical events stretches infinitely backward in time. Because claiming an actual infinite series of past events generates unsolvable logical paradoxes, the timeline of the universe must mathematically possess a definitive starting point. Theoretical math is only half the equation for premise 2. The other half is empirical astrophysics, pioneered by Edwin Hubble in the early 20th century. This diagram illustrates Hubble's specific discovery of the redshift. He observed that the light emitted from distant galaxies was shifting toward the red end of the light spectrum, an optic version of the Doppler effect. This stretching of light wavelengths proved definitively that these heavenly bodies are moving further away, meaning the physical universe is actively expanding in all directions. If we reverse engineer that expansion and run the timeline backward, all the scattered matter of the universe is forced to converge into a single, finite physical point. This forms the basis of the current cosmological consensus. The Big Bang occurred approximately 12 to 14 billion years ago. The physical universe operates on a strictly finite timeline. Morriston adds a necessary caveat here. While redshift heavily indicates a beginning, it does not absolutely rule out edge-case theoretical models, like an endlessly oscillating universe that expands and contracts in a loop. But when synthesizing the abstract logic of secondary with the empirical data of astrophysics, premise 2, that the universe began to exist, stands as the most robust and highly probable model of reality available. We arrive back at the completed syllogism. If the universe has a finite beginning, and all contingent beginnings require a cause, the universe undeniably has a cause. But this introduces the gap problem. How do we determine the specific nature of that cause? We can systematically rule out abstract metaphysical principles, like the laws of thermodynamics or gravity. Formulas describe how existing entities behave within a system. They possess no actual, independent causal power of their own to generate a system. We can rule out a purely mechanistic cause. A mechanical trigger operates automatically the moment its necessary conditions are met. This creates a temporal paradox. If the mechanism causing the universe was eternal, its effect, the universe, would also be eternal. Because the universe had a localized, specific beginning, the ultimate cause must have possessed the capacity to transition a state of nothingness into a state of something. It required the ability to choose to initiate an action. Compiling the necessary traits required to execute this act leaves a highly specific profile. The cause must exist completely independent of space and time. It must be immensely powerful, immutable, and capable of intentional choice. Critics correctly point out the conceptual mystery here. The exact physics of how a non-material entity interacts with or creates physical matter remains entirely unobservable to us. But affirming the principle of sufficient reason does not require us to fully understand how the mechanism was executed. The strict parameters of logic, math, and astrophysics point directly to the fact that the universe exists because it was initiated by a transcendent, personal agent.